Share the Body is about the opioid epidemic around the world. Once again, I mostly know about it from personal experience in the United States, but I do know for a fact that it's an issue around the world, especially in the developing world. In the music video, I feel like I should explain this somewhere because people have asked me about it and I haven't had time to respond to it on the comments. In the music video, it starts with me walking into a church and you see people coming and exiting the pews. And then the camera turns and the preacher, the person doing the service, is a doctor. And so I'm kind of in this drug church. And the reason I used a church is because going back to that idea of like, we've lost some of the old stories of who we are. I think one way that people look for salvation now is not the church anymore. And by no means am I saying it needs to be the church. I'm simply describing what I see. But people, I don't think, a lot of people don't find their salvation or their, what's going to save me from a church. We look for it in the pharmaceutical industry. We look for it in the medical sphere. And unfortunately, there's people and there's I would say malicious actors at play in the pharmaceutical world who are pushing products that they know are addictive, that they know are harmful because of profit. They pay in America several times. The FDA has been paid to look the other way, while drugs get put on the market that are unsafe and that are addictive. I wrote this song, like a lot of our songs, based on conversations I've had with people at shows. There's one young person in America who I see every time we're on tour who's addicted to heroin and is a teenager and is homeless. And it breaks my heart to know that this person is dying as long as they're addicted. And I've talked to this person, but it's a nasty addiction, and coming out of it takes the greatest degree of bravery, because you basically commit yourself to an incredible period of torment, physical and mental. And so many people are addicted, and the thing that's striking about the heroin epidemic is it's really, they can't track it by race or by social sphere or by wealth or income. It's hitting everyone because these medications, while they block, they block certain receptors of pain, in the long term, they will take everything from you and oftentimes lead to overdose. And so at the end of the song, I should actually give a shout out to T.S. Eliot too. The love song of Alfred J. Prufrock was a pretty big part of how I wrote it. I think that's the greatest poem in history, personally. I think T.S. Eliot's the greatest poet of history. And T.S. Eliot, in the love song of Alfred J. Prufrock, is basically this old guy who's fantasizing about being great and being something. And I realize that so much of addiction is fantasy. It's the idea of like, I'll get better after this next dose. I'll just one more fix and then I'll be fine and then I'll be good. But it's all a myth. It's all a lie. It's all smoke and mirrors. It leads nowhere. And so in that song, in the middle part of the song, I say, "Let us go then, you and I." And I say etherize, just like T.S. Eliot does about the night sky. And then at the end I say, "Don't you know me by these marks, these scars where I are? I mean I am, I mean I was supposed to be someone." Don't you know me by these scars, these marks where I are? I mean I am, I mean I was supposed to be someone. And it's the realization of you're talking to this addiction, this thing you love it more than anything, because I've seen how addicted people will trade family, love, friends, everything for addiction. People have called heroin the liar's drug before. I've heard that at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. It's the liar's drug because people will do anything to protect it. It's like the ring in Lord of the Rings. We're Smeagol to anything for the precious, for that fix. And so at the end of the song, I basically describe musically and lyrically goes into an overdose. Say I hit the bottom, then it hit me back. And then I say incarnation of society, the face of evil is the face of need. And my concept there is that if you look at a heroin addict, I think you see the most accurate depiction of Western society. It's all need. It's all consume. It's more, more, and more, and more. And so it makes sense that we're spiritually in a place of consumption, and that would translate into how we understand how drugs are pure consumption. It's consumption for the sake of consumption. Unlike food or water or different things that you could say there's a different means to the end, drugs are consumption for consumption. And so I think when we look at addiction, it needs not to be, oh, those horrible, disgusting addicts, but instead, we participate in a society that pushes this addiction. From the legislation to the law, to the ways that we consume, to the ways that we criminalize people that are addicted. Because people that are addicted shouldn't be treated like criminals. They should be treated as sick people who need to get better. Because you don't, throwing people in prison or just, that doesn't do anything. We learned that. And in America, we have a disproportionate amount of African American people who are incarcerated. We have the largest prison population in the planet, actually, who are incarcerated on minor drug offenses, who maybe could have benefited from rehab or from some sort of social work, but instead are thrown into prison for 20 years, which just costs a lot of money for taxpayers, and it's traumatic for them. And then they get out and there's no social skills, because once again, we see drugs as this means you're a criminal instead of this means you need help. So, yeah.